the SM Media Podcast Network.
Hi everyone and welcome to our latest episode of the SM Media East of Scotland Football Show. I'm Scotty Pike. It's a delight to be your host as always. I've got my co-host as always to join me, Stephen Ferguson. Mate, how are we?
I'm not too bad yourself.
I'm very well, thank you. Before we get into introducing our first guest of the season, can we talk about our first predictor that finished one each?
Aye, not a problem.
Wasn't great, was it? Well,
Nah.
Was it? Because I thought this weekend was quite unpredictable, as we'll talk about in a minute, but 1 point for a correct result and 3 points for a correct score, and we finished one each. So that kind of tells you how hard it was this week.
It was kind of hard.
But
I'll give you a during that one.
We will get into that next in a later part of the show, where we will get our guest to give his calls on the weekend as well. To join us in this week's show, it is a pleasure to welcome the manager of Arniston Rangers, Phil Alexander.
Thanks very much, Scott. Fergie.
It's a pleasure. Now, coming into when we'd arranged the show, Arniston were unbeaten in the league.
Yep.
And do you think that maybe after Saturday it's like maybe I shouldn't have taken that invitation? Because we have been accused of being a bit of a Black Death.
Yes.
Jinx. Nah, it was bound to happen at some point. You're not going to go a full calendar season in the league and not get beat. So obviously every manager would love that to happen. But if you were asking every manager in East of Scotland, they're going to tell you there's no chance, especially with the quality of the teams that are in each division. It's hard, really, really hard, almost impossible to go through a full season without losing a game. So,
and that was one of the big things I was going to bring up, because obviously last season was a challenge, and you look how tight that first division was. Obviously, like I think one of many teams could have been down. It was just obviously Arniston were one of the unlucky three. But looking at the start he's had, and then going into Saturday losing away to a team like Coldstream, do you instantly after that game think that's ruined the start we've had, or do you look at it and just going, this is a bump in the road? Because I look at some of the results they've had so far, beating Hart Hill at home, beating Kennaway 3-0 at home as well. Like, those are two of the well-fancied teams in the league at the start of the season. You must think even after 7 games, even though a bad defeat on Saturday, that's been a really good start.
it is, and it's no, obviously, the manner of the defeat on Saturday was disheartening for myself and obviously the players that were gutted. But we are always like have a slow start and then we sort of pick up Christmas time and have a good run at the end of the season. So I'm happy if we're still there in the boots near the top half going at like Christmas time. So our main aim is to get promoted back into obviously the first division. I thought we were very, very unlucky to get relegated, but that's what happens when you have things like 13 draws in a calendar season. So it comes back to bite you. So we took it on the chin. Obviously, lost some really good players, which they chose to move on after us getting relegated, which always happens. And then we've had to sort of no a massive rebuild, but we've brought in. In fact, before we get to that, I've promoted like 4 boys from my 20s who have done really well coming in, and then we brought in Jamie Murray on loan for Haddington. We had Jamie Devlin. We got in for the Lily that Fergie knows. We have brought in Sam Dixon, who was at the Musselburgh 20s unbeaten team last season, so he's really good. We also brought in Dylan Waugh, that was at Nitton, who's been a really good signing for us. And last but not least, Barry McKinley, who came for Hunterfield Vale, which is an amateur team at Goldbridge, and he's done really, really well, impressed us massively coming in. So it's been a mixed bunch of quality, one experience in devs, one for amateur, and then promoting some of the 20s. So it's always going to be a wee bit of process where you start getting a proper gel together with them all, and then we start seeing what we're trying to build again by Arniston and try and get ourselves promoted. So our main goal is to try and keep there or thereabouts till Christmas time, gives us a bit of time to gel together, and then a big push after then.
And you mentioned about that kind of squad transition. Can you kind of link that back as well to kind of last season when you lose two really exciting talents like Aaron Laidlaw and Niall Kemp, who both went to Berwick? Like, how hard were they to replace at that point? You mentioned about draws as well. Like, those are two massive players last season that I felt made the difference for you.
It's always tough. It's happened before that. We lost Tom Davis to Harrington. It happens every season. We get young talented players in, bring them in. They do really well, and then they move on. That seems to be like the blueprint for Arniston. And now, obviously, I'd like to keep them all. If you could keep them all, then I'd have some team right now. But and I wouldn't be in Division 2, I can guarantee you.
Yeah.
That's the plain and simple at this level. Is other teams that have got money, they come swooping in and offer them good deals, and they choose to move on. So obviously, as a player, you want to play as high a level as you can. So there's never any bad blood or anything like that. They move on with their best wishes. And obviously some of them have been really successful and others have done all right. So they just need to find their feet again. Some of the ones that haven't done so all right but I'm sure they will, because they're all young, talented, really good players.
And how... On you go, Stephen.
Phil, just on the signing, obviously Jamie Devlin and Dylan Waugh, obviously two boys who have had experience in the East of Scotland. How's Dylan and Jamie settled into the club?
They've settled really well. You can obviously, Des, for your time at the Lily as well, and you know Dylan really well enough because he was on loan for into the Lily as well. You know the two of them are really good lads. They've settled really well. I said that when we first got them after a couple of weeks. The both of them, it's like they've been here for a while, just the way they are, like the way they act, the way they're in the changing room with the rest of the boys. It helps as well when you know people.
Yeah.
Both of them coming to the club knowing loads of boys anyway, so it made a transition.
It makes things easier. Are you in the market to look to add to the squad going into the Christmas time, or you
in the market?
Always in the market.
And just in terms of the kind of start as well, like we mentioned a lot how tight that league is, and we mentioned about the wins against Harthill and Arniston. The four draws I wanted to touch on, particularly the one at the start of the season against Inverkeithing, who you'll play on Saturday. Like, how big was that game in terms of the kind of way that went, and then like how quick it is at the start of the season? Like, are you looking to those games going, if in another day could we have had a win? Any of the kind of four draws you had so far, have you kind of thought that you were hard done by, or any of the games oppositely? Do you maybe think we were lucky at that point? Like
the Dalkeith one, I would probably say we were lucky to get a point because the chances they had and they missed were probably better than the chances that we had. Mm-hmm. But apart from that, the other three, I would say we were unlucky not to get something at the game other than a draw. And it's sort of like you come away raging because you think to yourself in the previous season with the 13 draws, no, again, it's not going to keep happening again. So, the Swifts game, the first game, they seem to be like, not a bogey team, but it's hard. I think the last 4 times we've played them, we've drew. So they are tough. They're a really good side. They've Finlay Shearer that plays up front for them is a really good player, like him, and they're solid at the back. They're organised in midfield, so it's always a tough game when you play Inverkeithing. So that's what will be on Saturday as well. There'll be no difference, I think.
And the other thing I was going to ask is, I spoke to somebody in the West Side last week, and they were talking about obviously the game relating to they were at the game used against Johnson Borough, and they came away going, on another day if Hughes had scored, that would have been a different outcome. I know Johnson obviously went on and won the game, but you created a lot of chances by the sound of it. That
first half, I would probably say we should have went in 3 or 4 now up, and that was us creating like 6 or 7 glorious chances, not just half chances, like chances that should be getting put in the net, and just bad decision making, wrong decision making, things like that, and it's just not happening. So it was mad. We went at half time 0-0. Obviously, still buzzing a wee bit because Johnstone Borough a really good side. Mm-hmm. But I was also raging and kicking myself because we should have at least put the ball in the net 3 or 4 times, in my opinion. So then they made the 4 subs about 70 minutes and just blew us away with the Burnley Lafferty on. And three other guys. You could just see the quality they brought on was brilliant. Our energy levels sort of dipped a wee bit once they got the first goal, and then after that it was just like an onslaught for like 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously it's a good game for the younger ones to be involved in. So we learn from it and we move on.
And in terms of the game against Glenrothes in the East Cup, obviously coming up short in the day, but again, that would have been an encouraging performance as well.
Aye, that was just pretty much the same as the Johnston Borough game, if I'm being honest with you. We missed some good chances, and then it came back to bite us when they went up the park and scored, and then it changes the dynamics, totally different. We're not on this tendency anymore, we're tails up, trying to get a goal, we're now having to react to going 1-0 down, and then we're trying to attack, they caught us in the counter again. It's what happens at this level. If you didn't take your chances, then you get punished.
I would agree with that. I'd fully agree with that. Definitely. If you didn't take chances, especially in the division you're in, obviously we managed to get out it last season, but there was 2 or 3 times where we went behind, and you're just not going to take. If you didn't take your chances, you're not get the points in the board. Though.
What was your thoughts going into the season? Like, because obviously we did the predictor, and I think that was probably, would you agree, Steve, that was probably the hardest league to pick?
Aye, that was the hardest league to pick. I actually completely forgot about Arniston and Phil, and I got a text, a verbal text saying, "Yeah, you forgot about me, X, Y, and Z." But it's such a hard league to predict. Obviously, before the start of the season, all the eyes were on a certain team from West Lothian, spending quite a lot of money and bringing some big names in. So I think the teams like Arniston and West Calder and Dalkeith and Inverkeithing and that were always looking to vow for that top 4 positions. But then, obviously, I think Arniston's beat them, and they've dropped to other points, so it's a lot tighter there. I think Arniston have made if they won on Saturday, was it? That's right, Phil. If he's won on Saturday, he's would have been second.
Second or joint second. Now I think we're
second, and now you're 10th or something like that.
Well, that's what I was going to bring up. So West Calder,
anywhere from 10th to 1st could finish in that top 4 easy. I think
West Calder are in 18 points, right? So they're 5 points clear of the Swifts in second. But you go from second to 13th, there's only 5 points.
Right.
So we know
if any team picks up like a 4 or 5 winning streak, then they're just going to go flying out of that league and they'll create a wee gap. But the tough thing is trying to do that because there isn't any easy games.
Yeah, no. I agree. I would agree with that. That's kind of what happened, and that's what's happened in all the leagues. In the last, if you look at Loughcore in the league above, I think they've won their last 4 games, and they're now sitting for third in the league. Mm-hmm. So all it takes is for a wee run, and then that puts you right up the league tables.
Yeah, but we'll get into obviously the weekend and obviously the other results. Just quickly on the East teams in the Junior Cup, just bear with me, I'm just going through the teams I can find here. Armadale beat Stonywood at Parkvale 11-1. Luncarty beat Craigmart 3-2. I'm just going through the other teams trying to see who I can find. We've got as well, I did see them there, Stonyburn lost 3-0 at home to Thorneywood. Pumverson lost 2-1 at home to Hurlford. I think that's it. Livy United get beaten penalties by Hull Russell United.
West Calder.
Let me try and find them.
They had Glenvale.
Yes, they did. They won 6-2. I don't think there's any else I've missed.
No, I think that's it. I think it was more the West Lothian teams that are in that. So
yeah. Phil, you're a fan of Junior Cup?
Join the Alex Jack or the Scottish Junior Cup. So I think we chose the Alex Jack.
Was that the choice?
I think you have to choose between the two, because if you win the Alex Jack, then you can do what Whitburn done, and you can get eventually into Scottish if you win another couple of games after you've won that.
Yeah. I never knew that. I didn't
know that either. That's news to me, but there you go. Right, let's get into. We'll obviously preview some more cup action later on in the show because obviously a few East clubs are in Senior Scottish Cup duty. We'll get into the action over the weekend. We will start in the Premier Division, where, again, Stephen, we'll start with Jeanfield, 8 wins for 9 games, and a fairly convincing 6-1 win over Newton Grange.
Yes, after hearing Paul Mulligan's interview after the game, the Newton Grange manager, he obviously said it was a golfing class on two sides. It was a team that's not going to be up there versus a team that's definitely going to be up there. 6-1. It's obviously that's another defeat for Newton Grange, who I thought would have went into that league and would have been able to compete no problem, but they're obviously finding it difficult in that league. I think they've only got 1 point. Jeanfield again, Jeanfield top now.
Jeanfield are 3 points top, clear at the top of the table.
They're obviously looking very, very strong this year, and to go and tuck Newton Grange away 6-1, it's a very good result.
Phil, Hallabeath and Musselburgh are 3 points behind them. Hallabeath won 3-1 away to St Andrews. St Andrews were 1-0 up, and Musselburgh 2-1 winners over Dunbar. Again, that top three, who's impressed you so far?
Pretty much the teams that you've mentioned. Jeanfield looked really strong. They narrowly missed out the last couple of seasons for winning the league. Musselburgh will be up there 1,000,000% again. I think Liam Burns has got a cracking squad there, and he's got them playing really well. They just grind out wins. They know what they're doing. They know how to win the league. Hallabeath, I know Robbie for his time when he was at St Andrews when we were in the same league together. He's a really good manager. He always has his teams playing really well, and I think he's elevated Hallabeath since he came in there, and he's doing a great job. So they'll be right up there as well. I also think Dunny Pace, Camelin, Harrington, they could all be in my shout. How many people got for how many teams got for the Premier?
Funny you should say that, because it changes every week. We know for a fact it's 2. It can be as high as 4, but I think it depends on what happens in the Midlands.
So I think Harrington have got a really strong squad. I also think Dunny Pace have got a really good team as well, and Camelin are brilliant as well. So it could really be anybody else. I think Camelin, they're the only team that's not been beaten in that league yet.
They've won their first 6, yeah.
So they could end up being right up there challenging between your Musses, your Jeanfields and your Hallabeaths.
Yeah. The other
league that is competitive.
It certainly is. Dunny Pace won, Bo'ness won. Managerial change over the weekend, Stephen. We'll get into Pennycook in a wee second, but Pennycook beat Whitburn 3-0. It then resulted in Craig Young resigning from Whitburn. I always thought following Darren Wilson would be a very tough act to follow. I thought it was even tougher when John Miller went to Broxburn. Just hasn't worked out for Whitburn.
No, it's not like you say. It was always going to be hard, especially once Darren Wilson left. He took them from the 3rd division all the way right through to the Premier. I think he won. Was it every league that he won?
I think he got back-to-back promotions and won.
Was that what it was? It was always going to be hard because you obviously you've came up against him, Phil. That his teams were brilliant to play against, and then Alan Miller, obviously from his time at Linlithgow had a very good setup there and all too. So that's 2 good managers they've lost, and now this Craig Young's resigned. It's going to be hard. It's hard for them. So yeah, hopefully they can get back on their feet because they're a right good side. They've got a very good support, a good setup. The pitch could be a wee bit better, but apart from that, everything else, the committee side and everything, it's a massive club. So it's probably one of the biggest clubs in West Lothian.
Phil, what do we think? Obviously, the situation at Whitburn, it's been a difficult start. They've won 2 of their first 7 games, but as we've kind of said, it's always very difficult when there's been such continuity there with Darren, and then you go down the co-manager route, and it's mostly, from what I can see, the same squad as last season. Is it just difficult to follow a continuity like that?
I think because now they're going to have to look for a new manager again, so it'll be a constant change. Players will have to adapt to get used to a system, unless they just come in and there'll be slight changes, slight tweaks for the new manager coming in. So it can be tough, but sometimes you get a new manager buzz, and you'll come in and then get a bounce at them, and they might kick on. You never know. But as Fergus said, Whitburn's a really good club, big club with a massive following. So I can't see them appointing anybody like other than somebody decent. So
Yeah.
they should be.
It's going to be hard with a new manager coming in this time of the season and that, and trying to get 3 or 4 wins together in that league, because how competitive the league is. You've always got like a big game. The next game's always massive. It's like you're going to either be playing Hillybeath, Greenfield, Musselburgh, Bowness, Camelin. So to try and get a bit of momentum in that league, it's going to be hard. So the new manager's got a bit of a task.
Well, let's say the new manager comes in before the weekend. His first 3 games are going to be Haddington at home in this qualifying cup, and then they go to Camelin next Wednesday, and then away to Bowness.
Hard.
I mean, that's a difficult start.
That's very difficult. So to hopefully they get somebody in quick, because the players will want a manager in. So if he is going to change the style, they can adapt it quickly, just so they're no in the bottom half of the table. And obviously the players and the committee will want to be up near the top 4 places and contesting for any sort of promotion. Huh?
Is one of their coaches staying there until
Yes, I think it is Alan. Is it Fleming? Alan Fleming staying there to oversee the transition until they search for a replacement. I wanted to touch on Pennycook quickly. Phil, Ryan Harden obviously getting in there. They had a very tough start. Obviously lost their first 3 against Hillybeath, Musselburgh and Camelin. Not an easy start for any team, but they're capable of scoring goals. Like they obviously beat Sauchie 5-0, beat Newton Grange 5-3 at the start of September, and then a 3-0 win over Whitburn. So we know they're capable, and they've got a very good coach there who can guide them.
I get on really well with Ryan. Speak to him now and again. And when he was at Hutchie, he had Hutchie playing absolutely brilliant football. Mm-hmm. And then obviously it didn't work out near the end with him. And then he had his wee time out, and now he's back at Pennycook. And if you give him time, he'll build a really good side at Pennycook, and Pennycook will absolutely kick on. You can see parts of it now forming, and he's got players like ex-Arniston player like Niall Kemp on loan for Berwick, who has hit the ground running. He's banging the goals in. So, Ryan's really good coach, really good manager. So, I think Pennycook will be absolutely fine.
Brilliant. Haddington 6, Hutchison Vale now. For Hutchison Vale now, Ryan Cameron with a hat-trick. Stephen, very good player, obviously known for his time at Tynecastle. Haddington and Dundonald, who obviously won 1-0 against Glenrothes. Those are 2 sides that have decent starts.
Yeah, definitely. Haddington winning 6-0 against Hutchison Vale. I've seen now that Hutchison Vale have now got social media, so they're now updating them with social media. You can see their teams, which is one thing we asked for at the start of the season, wasn't it? So I've seen the Hutchie Vale have brought in boys they brought in Riley Haston. I don't know if he's on loan for Bonnyrigg or not. I don't know if he's still at Bonnyrigg or not, but he's a very good young player. So they have got decent players there. They're obviously just finding it really, really tough in that league. Haddington again, my old club, one of my old clubs. Scott's got a fantastic setup, a fantastic team. He's now slowly but surely starting to pick up more results. That 6-0 will do them the world of good. I don't know who they've got next. Who they've got next, Scott?
Who's that? Haddington.
Yeah.
Haddington, they play in the cup against Whitburn, and then they host Hillybeath next Saturday in the league. So
that's, I like to say, two hard games, obviously, Whitburn without the manager, but he'll be looking at the Hillybeath game thinking that he'll need a full squad there. He'll need all the boys firing on all cylinders. If he can get Ryan Cameron scoring a hat-trick at the weekend, so if he can get him scoring more goals, and then they've obviously got firepower and that off the bench if it's not working on all too. So, yeah, good.
Absolutely. We'll go quickly to our sponsors at Appin Sports before we talk about the First Division.
SM Media's East of Scotland content is proudly sponsored by Appin Sports. Want your team to stand out on the football pitch? Then Appin Sports are here to help. Their online kit designer lets you create your dream custom teamwear range in your club's colours and with your club crest, sponsor logos, player names and numbers. Design yourself or work with their expert design team to bring your vision to life. Your order will also secure your place in their online club shop, making reordering effortless and giving supporters a place to get your amazing gear too. Head to appinsport.com to get started on giving your team a new and unique look.
Right, let's go into the First Division. Armadale obviously were on cup duty, so it presented an opportunity for a few clubs below to take advantage. And they did. We'll start with Lacour 2, Thornton 1, probably the game of the weekend in that division. And it went the way of Lacour, Phil. They've had an incredible run. I think they won the last, as Stephen said, I think they won the last 4. They've been unbeaten in the last 5 after losing the first 2 games. Brilliant set of circumstances at the moment.
Aye, Lockwood are flying. Aye, you can certainly see that. We played them last season. I think it was the second last game of the season. We absolutely battered them at their pitch, and we couldn't score. And then we gave away a penalty in the last minute, and they missed it, and they ended up drawing 0-0. It's crazy. So that's Lockwood, a really hard place to go. Their pitch is small, tight. They know how to play in it. They're right in your face. Thornton have started as well, really, really well. But are they still top, or are they?
Armadale are in 19 points. Thornton, Edinburgh South and Lacour in 16. So again, another league that's going to be tight.
Aye, I think I've been massively impressed with Edinburgh South and Preston, I think, so far.
Yeah, the Edinburgh South winning 3-0 against Whitehill on Saturday as well. Goals from Taggart, Martin and Moran. Stephen, obviously that kind of top 4 is looking interesting. Lacour beating Thornton's impressive, but again, Ainsley's done really well so far at Edinburgh South.
Aye, really impressed. Again, Ainsley, a bit like Phil doesn't really have big money to go and spend on players. He's got to rely on youth and try and get players through like word of mouth and that. So yeah, for them to be fourth in the league, third.
Edinburgh South are third, aye.
For them to be third in the league that's a very good start to the season. Like, they beat East Houses, I think it was 5-2. Beat East Houses 5-2. So I was really been really impressed with what Ainsley's done with basically no budget at all. So I think they'll be there or thereabouts in that top 4, or they'll be right in contention for it.
Yeah, really hard to play against. Really hard. They're organised at the back. They battle for everything in midfield and at the back, and then they've got lightning pace in Kieran Vaughan and Stu Martin up top. So they're always a danger when you play them. They're a really hard team to play against.
2 other teams in that league that have been impressive as well. Good starts. Preston Athletic, who beat East Houses 4-2 at the weekend, and Blackburn United, Phil, 4-1 win over Bathgate. Again, 2 sides will be fairly happy where they are.
I think has there not been a wee small turnaround at Blackburn?
Yeah.
You can see it's paying dividends now when I'm getting decent results. And Preston, that was one of my tips for to at least challenge for the league, but to definitely go up, just with the Nicky Reid signing, and they signed Andy Dempster as well, who's a really good player. I think he scored 2 at the weekend, and Nicky banging them in as well. So I think Preston, once they get properly going, I think Stephen McLeish will be right up there challenging.
Stephen, what was the kind of crack of Preston? Were people impressed?
I impressed. Won the up after 5 minutes. They won the up after 5 minutes, and East Houses managed to get back to 2-1 after, I think it was like 20 minutes, and then after 25 minutes it was 2-0. So it was some game in the first half, and then East Houses only had 11 players fit for the game. 0 subs. Well, 1 sub, and that was the sub goalkeeper. Couple of boys failed. Fitness test before the game. So a hard one to take for East Houses and for the club, but when you're missing certain big players for them, it's going to be hard. But credit to Preston, they came with a game plan and they executed it well. The boy Joe Tate, who they signed from Haddington, again, very, very good player. So quick, so direct. once he gets into the box, he's prolific. We'll put it that way. He'll score goals. I'm sure he played with Spartans under 20s before he signed for Haddington. I think he scores something. Bildy might be able to help us here.
Right.
Did he not score something like 35 goals in the season or something at under 20s?
I think him and Given and Lowe were absolutely prolific at Spartans.
Aye, so that's. I've been impressed with their signing. Like you say, obviously they got Mickey Hamilton from using all too, Phil, who's obviously injured at the present moment, but he's a very, very good player on all too. Mickey Reid, they've got Sean Miller, Brad Donaldson. They've got some very good experience throughout the team and all too. So I kind of impressed with them, but like you say, I think it'll be a different game once the two teams have got their both sides together and they are down at the penny pit. I think the penny pit is I think it's the 1st of January or around the start the first week in January. So it'll be a good game down there anyway.
The other games in the First Division: Kirkcaldy 2, Crossgates 2 and Edinburgh Uni 1, Leith 1. Let's go into the Second Division. Obviously, we'll start with Coldstream 5, Arniston 1. You've kind of mentioned what you feel went wrong. I was very fascinated when I looked on Arniston's social media and the goalie was the man of the match.
He pulled off some good saves. So when they asked me who was my man of the match, I told them none of them. So I didn't think any of them deserved to be man of the match after a performance like that. So, listen, full credit to Coldstream. They got the job done on the day. But we never turned up for like the first half at least. And crazy enough, we had rakes of chances in the second half, like gilt-edged chances, like what I was mentioning about the Johnston Borough game. Mm-hmm. So it could have been a totally different, a lot tighter scoreline. But we need to start putting the chances away or we'll get punished. But we can't start games how we started on Saturday. They all know that. They took it on board, the criticism that they got after the game and at half-time. So it'll be a big reaction, a big bounce back on Saturday needed.
Yeah, no, absolutely there will be. For a while, obviously, sticking with the Second Division, we'll go to Inverkeithing 3, Stirling Uni 2 and Lochgelly 3, Oakley 2. Obviously, that result moves them both into second and third. What you kind of made of them so far? I know you've obviously played Lochgelly in the Cup and you've played Swifts in the league. What have you made of them so far? Are you surprised where they're at the moment?
Nah, I thought with the Swift signing Finlay Shearer, he's a really good striker. He was at Bo'ness and Kelty and that, so you know what you're getting from him. He's got quality, he's got goals. I think, is he the top goal scorer in the Second Division?
I don't think he'll be far off it. I'm trying to keep track, but I'm struggling in that.
He'll
be far off it.
We're going to be good, obviously, having played them last season as well. And Lochgelly, we've played them previously. They're stuffy, they're organised, they're hard to break down. So, it's like what we were talking about earlier on. We touched on it. It's hard, eh? Any team can beat any team on their day. And I think the Premier, the first, the second, and the third, all the divisions are all tight. So if you didn't turn up on the day, then you're getting found out. It's as simple as that.
Yeah. Stephen, one of the results of the weekend, I would say, in that league was Dalkeith 1, Linton Hotspur 3. Been really impressed with Linton's start. Like, the only two teams to beat them so far in the league are West Calder, and obviously as well they picked up a defeat against Hart Hill. So again, they'll be fairly happy where they're at.
I definitely, especially go down to Kings Park and take 3 points, because like you say, Phil will be able to tell you, Jokes teams are set up very, very well. They'll graph for 90 minutes. So to go down to Kings Park and win 3-1 is a very good result. They added experience this year. They brought in Stephen Manson, who I think Phil will be able to help you. He didn't play with the likes of like Lithgay and Bonnerig and Trent and that. He did that. So somebody like that to come into a club that's only really been in the East of Scotland for 3 seasons now, that'll be huge for them. Somebody with a bit of experience to come in, a level head, and just be able to help the young boys get through these games. They made a good signing, and the boy Andy Watson too from, I think it was Trinity. Was it Trinity Sundays he was at?
He was at Hunterfield as well, the same as Byron.
That's Hunterfield. So they made a good signing, and he's been banging in the goals. I think he scored maybe like 5 or 6 goals already this season. So again, coming up from amateur to go and play in this division, that's a very good signing they've made there too. So I've been very impressed. I tipped up to be in that top 4 because I thought just with the signings and obviously Paul Curry being experienced and down at Preston, and I just thought they had the makings of a good team. They've got a great setup. The pitches are immaculate, so they can play some decent football. So I've been very impressed with them. I don't know who they've got next. We'll probably come on to that, but they'll just be looking to hopefully just constantly pick up 3 points and see what it takes them come the end of the season. Huh?
It's funny you should say who they play next, because they play Burnt Island next, and they were the next team I was going to ask Phil about. Obviously, yous have played Burnt Island. What do you make of them? And again, they're a side that just strike you. Again, they're scoring goals, but you look at their first game where they absolutely battered Lochgelly 6-0, and when you think of Burnt Island, you just think hard to beat.
Aye, that's exactly what they're industrious, hard to beat, organised, very hard to break down. So you see, if they beat Kennedy 4-2, that's a cracking result.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good result as well. Stephen, Harthill winning 1-0 against Fauldhouse. Is it beginning to click for the title favourites?
Well, I would like to think so. I'd like to think so. They need to start putting results on the board. Like I say, I think they were everybody's title favourites, Scott. So,
Phil, were they yours? Just out of curiosity.
No.
Okay. Because you obviously beat them second game. Like, there was a lot of hype of them going into the season, and I'm not saying I do look at their squad and think they are obviously they've spent pretty big. What have you made of them so far, and what did you make of them when you come up against them?
I thought they were organised, stuffy when we played them, but you could tell it was just like they hadn't gelled that properly yet. So they make into a good team, but I thought they were quite slow at the back, if I'm being honest. So
okay.
Fair enough. But like I say, their manager now will be wanting to kick on here. They'll probably be feeling a bit pressure because he was tipped to win the league, and he'd obviously spent well. He brought in boys from Broxburn, Armadale, some really big names. Was it Gart Cairn, the boy at Eddie was from Scott? Was that right?
Yes, he was. Yeah.
Gart Cairn. These are all big teams, well established clubs. And he brought them in there, and we're led to believe they're on big money. Which again, that's not our place to comment. But if they're on this thing, they'll be wanting to see results, and they'll be wanting to challenge for that. Not just the top 4, they'll be wanting to challenge for the league, just with the squad they got. So yeah, but time they started, like you say, like Phil just said, they needed time to gel. Hopefully that's been gelled now, and hopefully you go and see them kick right on, because you want your leagues to be competitive, and you want all your best teams to be up there. So, aye. So, hopefully.
Still, final result, obviously, Canoe winning 4-2 away at Edinburgh College. Have you been surprised with Canoe's start so far? I know that was only their second win, but have you been surprised with that they're at the moment?
I thought they maybe would have a few more wins, if I'm being honest with you, because I know Jason McCrindle really well, who's there, and every time we played them last season and the season before that, they were really good, really organised, and he had them playing some good football. So, maybe they've just had a wee bit of a slow start. So you'll see teams starting to pick up now if they're having a few games, cup games and stuff like that. So, I think Canoe should be all right. They should be maybe challenging up there for one of the top 4 promotion spots as well.
Okay, we'll get into this.
I know. See, I'll give a bit of inside information for that game. Edinburgh College played with their goalkeeper at centre forward for 75 minutes on Saturday. They had 11 players, and they drafted up their 20s goalie, and their normal number 1 had to play up top because they couldn't get a side, and he had to play up top for 75 minutes, and then he had to come off it.
Is that because of the time of the year, or is it just like...
I really don't know. I really don't know. I just think, like I say,
Where was he for last season?
Aye, they've lost so many talented players last year, and it's been hard for George. I know. I think he lost like 6 or 7 like big name players. Like but I don't know if he's still there, but I think they lost Blair Ramage.
Blair Ramage is left. Owen May went to West Calder, and they lost another boy as well.
Gaff and Bainey, the goalie, they went to Crossgates.
Big Chris Gaff went to Crossgates or not.
Chris Gaff, yeah.
They lost the centre, their captain centre half, because we tried to sign him in the close season, but he's just wrapped it and retired. So they lost some big players, and it's obviously been hard to replace him, and they're obviously finding it really hard at the present moment.
We'll get into the third division quickly, obviously. Edinburgh United won in 7-4 away to Newborough. Howick 2 away to Tweedmouth Rangers. Cownby Central 4, Edinburgh CFC 0, and Vale of Leithen 4, Arniston 0. We'll just ask you both, who's the kind of teams in that league that have stood out so far? We'll start with you, Phil.
So I would tip Edinburgh United to win that league. We played them pre-season, and they beat us, and they were really, really good. I know results in pre-season didn't mean anything because you're trying things out, but I thought they were very well organised. Big Nizzy had them playing really well. They pressed us high like absolute demons, and they got their just rewards on the day. I know it just been a friendly, but I was really impressed with them. So I think they'll be right up there.
Stephen, it's a close league.
Aye, that's so tight. I'd probably say Edinburgh United I've been really impressed with, and been probably impressed with Stonyburn or not too. Mm-hmm. Again, a team that was just mid-table, and then they've rocketed right up there. I've been impressed with them, and it's been a tight league, that league. Anyway, I think that'll go all the way right down. I don't think somebody will run away with it this year. I think that league will go right down to the wire.
Okay. Before we get into our predictor, Phil, just a quick word, obviously, on probably one of the games of the weekend in the league. Arniston versus Inverkeithing. This is a massive opportunity for Arniston to get back to winning ways. Looking forward to it.
Looking forward to see how the players react. Obviously, we were looking for them to bounce back for last week's result, getting hammered. So we'll be going into training in the morning and Thursday and working on stuff, explaining a few things to them that went wrong on Saturday, and then I'll be looking for a massive reaction for the boys on Saturday. So it should be a good game. It's always a tight contest when we play them anyway.
Yeah, no, but a game I'm keeping an eye on as well. We're going to have your thoughts on the predictor as well, and we've got a wee tiebreaker at the end because it's Senior Scottish Cup first round. We're going to do 2 games in the first division, a game in the second division, and a game in the third division. We'll go with the first game in the first division that we're going to talk about. Tynecastle versus Heriot Watt. Stephen, your score prediction, please. We will say to our viewers who are playing along at home, 1 point you get for a correct result and 3 points for a correct score. Tynecastle, Heriot Watt. Stephen, what's your thoughts?
3-0, Heriot Watt.
Okay. Phil, there was a wee score prediction for that game.
2-0.
2-0. I'm going to go for Tynecastle 1, Heriot Watt 2. Second game in that division, Stephen, Blackburn United versus Kirkcaldy and Dysart.
At Blackburn on the 3G. That's a tough game. I'm going to go 1-0.
Phil?
2-1 Blackburn.
2-1 Blackburn. I'm going to go for 2-2. I'm going to go for a wee Desmond in that game. The second division game is Dalkeith Thistle versus Kennaway Star Hearts. Stephen?
I'll go Dalkeith 2, Kennaway 3.
Phil?
3-1 Kennaway.
I'm going to go for 4-1 Kennaway. Vale of Leithen versus Edinburgh United in third division. Stephen?
Where is it? At the Vale?
It's Vale.
I'll go 1-0 Edinburgh United.
Okay. Phil, there's been a lot of goals in that league so far. Could we see the same here?
Don't know, it'll be a tough one. Joe Rossi just took over at the Vale, so I'll say 3-1 Edinburgh United.
Okay. I'm going to go for a goals galore. I'm going to go for 5-3 Edinburgh United. I can see goals in this game. Right, we have a few teams in Senior Scottish Cup duty. We're just going to go through the fixtures and then I'm going to ask the guys a question here. Bowness Athletic host Keith. Camelin host Albion Rovers. Dundonald Bluebell travel to Civil Service Strollers. Coldstream host Tayport. Inverurie versus Sauchie. Probably the game of the round. Jeanfield versus Clydebank. Musselburgh host Bonneton. Newton Grange versus East Stirlingshire. Turriff United versus Hill of Beath. And the Monday night Uni of Stirling versus Burnt Island. There are 10 teams, 10 East teams in the first round. Stephen, how many get through?
6.
Okay. You get one team that you think are certain to get through. I'm loading the fixtures again, you'll need to look at them.
Game 1.
Okay. Phil, how many get through, and give us one that you think are a stick on to get through?
I think 4 will go through,
Okay.
and I'll agree with Fergie Camelin.
Okay. I think 4 will go through. I think Bowness are probably the one that I think are certain to get through. They host Keith. I think they should have enough to beat Keith in the Highland League. I think Burnt Island will maybe do well against Uni of Stirling, but there's some good games in there as well. Musselburgh should beat Bonneton as well. I'm thinking those are the ones. But
definitely Musselburgh.
Before we can wrap up, hopefully all 10 of them do the East proud.
Yeah, aye. Much appreciated, especially in the East.
Phil, we want to thank you very much for being our guest on this week's show. It's been an absolute pleasure, and best of luck for what lies ahead in the season.
Hey, Paul Scott, thanks very much. Cheers, Fergie.
To Stephen, as always, a pleasure, mate. We'll be back on soon.
Yeah, no problem. Next week.
Thank you very much. We'll see you all soon. Thank you.
Cheers.